the technology that may drive your next car buying decision.
Give your kids something to look at while you're watching the road.
We'll steer you around the GPS landscape
And tell you how to have a car without buying or leasing one.
That, plus sites worth stopping for and a drive-by visit for the PR Pinata.
On this revved up edition of PC World's Digital Duo.
PC World's Digital Duo is brought to you by...
Looking for a new projector or TV for that big screen experience? Make sure it has DLP technology from Texas Instruments for a sharp picture that won't fade over time. Ask for DLP technology at electronics retailers near you.
PC World's Digital Duo is sponsored in part by BenQ, a global innovator and a $5 billion manufacturer of displays and other digital products that make life more enjoyable. BenQ, because enjoyment matters.
I'm Steve Manis, columnist for PC World and Forbes magazine.
I'm Angela Gunn, columnist for USAtoday.com.
And the next car in your driveway is likely to bear very little resemblance to the one in mine right now. I drive an 18-year-old vehicle, as you know, and in that time, Americans have reworked pretty much the entire driving experience.
Well, it's true. I mean, even my last ride, which was a late 80s Cadillac with pretty much every whizzy tech add-on you could get back then, looks practically handmade next to the vehicles we saw when we started thinking about putting together a car show. These days, a lot of auto tech improvements are on board to protect everyone from the weak link in the system.
That would be the driver.
Yes. The car is always evaluating information from the brakes and the tires and under the hood and even around the bumpers. It's using all that to drive better than you.
I don't know.
For instance, some cars are getting gearbox technology that predicts and pre-selects which gear you'll shift to next. I thought it made for a very smooth ride when we tried it out.
Yeah, and some of the other advances are in safety tech, though most people don't even want to think about those once they've driven off the lot. For instance, you've got brake force distribution systems that see you slam on the brakes and manage the car to a safe stop.
But for a few years yet, humans will still have to do the actual driving.
Darn.
So we're going to spend a lot more time with you today on what's in the cabin rather than on what's under the hood.
Now, the miracle of the aftermarket, not to mention cheap portable electronics, means that a lot of creature comforts and, yeah, a few functional enhancements are things you can have in your current vehicle. Where do you want to go today? Well, that was Microsoft's slogan a while back, and it might as well be the general mantra for car navigation systems.
All these devices work with the Global Positioning System, GPS. It's a network of 27 satellites funded by the United States Department of Defense. They orbit the Earth and they send out precise signals.
And when the GPS unit can get signals from at least 4 of those satellites, it can perform some slick mathematical calculations that tell you where it is and where it's going. So most of the time these days, these things know where they are. So the real differences now are in the databases that put the map up on the screen with your position and the interfaces that let you interact with them. And also whether you buy one that's installed in your car from the start or one you can use without any installation.
Well, yeah, the in-car units usually sit somewhere in the middle of the dashboard and store information on a built-in hard drive or on DVD or DVDs. Most of them put the entire U.S. and maybe even Canada right at your fingertips. Some can even hide themselves in the dash. But recently, they've developed some real competition in the form of standalone models with no installation required.
Yeah, and since we figured you probably aren't going to go out and buy a new car just so you can get a late model navigation system, we took a drive with 3 units you can stick on your windshield or dash and plug right into the cigarette lighter.
All 3 come with full maps of the United States, either on a hard drive or an SD card, which means you turn them on, you wait for them to locate the satellites and figure out where they are, and boom, you're ready to go. We tried all 3 with windshield mounts, though it turns out those are illegal in California. But all three we tried had powerful suction cups that had no problem keeping the units on the windshield while we bopped along the highway.
And taken as a whole, they're far better than the cheaper, less capable units I've tried over the years, but that's not to say they're exactly problem-free.
Oh yeah. The Magellan Roadmate 760 feels more complicated than these other two. It does have a touch screen, but it also has lots of confusing buttons. And yes, I got lost on the buttons. I was lost on a GPS.
Yeah, I mean, confusing enough that it lost one of our routes when you accidentally bumped one of those buttons. That just shouldn't happen. Now, it has a mostly 2D display that I found harder to read than the other's 3D designs.
It also has a nice audio feature. Just when it's time to turn, it gives you ascending tones from a right turn.
Approaching right turn.
And descending, boom, boom, for a left. And it mounts on a long stock that kind of bounces when you drive, which makes it harder even still to read.
Yeah, very weird looking. Well, this TomTom Go 300 is all touchscreen all the time, which is why it comes with a cleaning cloth to get the grease off. It has all sorts of options, including that speaker with an Australian accent.
You have reached your destination.
And it offers directions in several languages.
已经到达目的地。
But it was very late to tell us about a different turn, and it totally fell apart downtown.
Did it ever?
Whoa.
Now, it just went gray, signifying that it doesn't quite know where it is. It's confused. We've confused the GPS.
The 3D display I thought was a great improvement on Magellan's Flatland, though it did have a lot of glare, and it's the only one of these models to have a built-in battery, so you can charge it up and take it out of your car with you on a bike or a hike.
Something it didn't account for was the road closed sign right there. Great. But hey, the nice thing about GPS is you get adventures you would never get otherwise. Yeah, now the screen on this Garmin Street Pilot C330 is downright shiny. I mean, this thing gets fingerprints on it instantly, but it shows its 3D maps from a higher angle that's generally easier to read than the TomToms. And it came up with a great route that the other two missed.
But it also missed a turn, and it lost signal intermittently downtown, and it declared off route when we weren't.
Yeah, I mean, none of these units turns out to be immune to glare, and also, since they don't integrate with the audio system the way the built-in models do, their little speakers can be kind of hard to hear when you've got the music cranked way up.
Yeah, and we ran into some quirky problems too. When we tried to get the TomTom to take us to the Seattle Opera House, it sent it to the opera's offices about a mile away.
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem with all these units. And really every GPS navigation system I've ever tried in the US, the databases. Sometimes these things just get it wrong, and sometimes they get overwhelmed. I mean, when you head into a confusing six-way intersection without street signs, hearing turn left 100 feet ahead just doesn't always help.
And as we found out, these units can be a problem when they don't know where they are. When you come out of a parking garage in a canyon of buildings, it can take a while before the unit has any idea how to direct you.
You know, there's still a lot to be said for the cheap solution that hardly uses any tech at all, a map. Time to rev up our tip jar where we park our best shortcuts and keys to living with technology. So what do you got?
We have the more power to you tip.
If you're traveling with electronics, sooner or later, they're going to need power.
Enter the power inverter.
Ta-da! There are a lot of these on the market, but they all do pretty much the same thing. Change 12-volt DC power from your car battery to 120-volt AC power.
The better ones have features that protect both your gear, like surge suppression, and your vehicle, like auto shutdown if the motor's not running, but you're still plugged in.
Very good idea. Prices vary, but you should be able to pick one of these up for under $50. And whether it's powering a portable DVD player or a beverage cooler, it's one of those items that fits neatly into a well-stocked glove compartment.
Oh, tip jar, what would we do without you? The DVD didn't just change people's viewing habits at home. It suddenly made possible a theater in your van, in your station wagon.
Yeah, preferably the back seat, but there you have it. In-vehicle DVD players, people want them.
Ugh, whatever happened to drive-in movies, not driving with movies? Come on, people. I mean, Okay, yes, still very popular, more so than ever, and you even have Cadillac now offering TV via satellite in the Escalade.
Yeah, not to mention a million guys named Joey willing to wire up your car for a few $100 and an extra couple hundred if you want to put it in the front seat. But here's the thing, that wiring job may not be too warranty friendly, and then you got this video quality thing.
Now, the best units now, and we're talking second seat units,
Yes, indeed.
because in theory, y'all are law-abiding citizens, keeping your kids in the back seat and not trying to watch a movie while you drive, can adjust a bit for on-screen glare and for children who don't want to be sitting too close together.
Well, of all the in-car DVD options, we prefer the one that can get out of the car. And here, for example, we have the AudioVox Versatile Video Mobile DVD Player.
Oh yeah, the name's right, it's definitely versatile. You look at it now, it looks like your basic mild-mannered portable DVD player. But wait, this unit has a secret identity.
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's a really complicated DVD harness that goes over your seat and over the headrests, and it's a mess. And a carrying case, suddenly this thing's a lot larger than I remember it was from 5 seconds ago.
Whoosh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is you can take it out of your vehicle when you're done with it. I mean, that's the point. On the other hand, once I got that thing unstrapped from the car, I'm not sure I'd ever convince myself it was worth the effort to try putting it back on again.
No, now if you do go with one of these, of course, your issues change. The kids stop fighting over the best place to sit and start fighting over the power outlet. This guy does not run on batteries, but it does have 2 wireless headsets, so you don't have to listen to The Little Mermaid again and again and again.
Okay,
and
now we're
again.
back to my installation issues again. Now, maybe some of y'all's kids were better than my brother and I were, but I seem to remember a lot of, "Nah, he's on my side of the seat," when we were little. Now, no way would my parents have put in something that required us to sit near enough each other we might be touching. We'd have fought over the glare, and probably the play button and the volume control and which DVD to watch and every other thing. You know, there's a reason radio buttons used to be in the front and we were in the back.
In your family, it sounds like that's a reason for the steering wheel to be up front, too.
I met my brother, okay. Meanwhile, out on the market, a reasonably good and truly portable DVD player goes for well under $200. Get one for each kid, get yourself an inverter like we talked about, some cheap earbuds, and you're set. All this installation is just way too much complication.
I agree. Now, we also found another option that may keep your younger kids happy in the car and out of it, according to Angela.
Okay, yes, this is the kind of onboard video I can live with. This is the Pixter multimedia system from Fisher-Price. If we'd had this when we were kids on car trips, my brother and I...
each other in the head with it.
Oh, we'd have still fought. Come on, who are we kidding here? But we'd have shut right up when our parents threatened to take our Pixters away.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of car-friendly games in here, but most of them involve drawing. You got a sketch pad and color by numbers pages and scratchboard pictures and connect the dots, and you're starting to think like a coloring book might be cheaper.
Yeah, well, no, they've got that, and they've got a weird sort of Tetris-like game in there, and we know how calming and hypnotic those can be.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, okay, and there's also that scene starter that gives your kid a background and lets them stamp in pictures to create an animation.
Okay, now animations. Now here's where we get to the video-friendly part. Like a lot of kids' toys these days, Pixter is heavy on the product tie-ins.
Obese on the product tie-ins.
Please, you must look at this with humor, Steve. The Pixter can handle these cartridges up here, which are sold separately. And this is SpongeBob. And if you plug it in, you get a bunch of video excerpts, a dozen, which works out to about 24, 25 minutes video. Now, as we know, kids of a certain age can watch something they like over and over, and they will.
And with this, they'll have to, because they only got 24 or 25 minutes in there. I don't know.
Cartridge,
right,
what?
Yeah. They're very basic controls, which they can get to by tapping the screen with a finger or the stylus.
Which is actually pretty well attached, just in case they decide to pick it up by the string and, wee.
Yeah.
And since the video doesn't use moving media like DVD discs, they use these little ROMs instead. You can't do too much handling with, much damage here. Look, that's kid-proof, man. That's what we like.
That, I know, but once they're done with that, if you haven't thrown them out of the car, they can tap the screen to choose scenes and transitions.
And you can get them the camera module that goes up here as well. And you can let them make a movie of your road trip. There are learning games available, And if you're worried about cost, basic units under 100, modules.
I'd be worried about cost.
Modules run about $20 depending, and if you're already a Pixter family, a lot of people are, those cartridges will work in this newer player.
Yes, another money sink for mom and dad. And I noticed the maximum volume wasn't terribly loud either.
Oh my gosh, something we both agree we like about an in-car video player.
Video is a bad idea for drivers, but there have been so many improvements in audio that maybe that isn't such a big deal.
Well, yeah, and you knew XM and Sirius were really tapping a market when you talked to people who drove around just to listen to their satellite radios.
The aftermarket options for the satellite stuff have been around for quite a while, but most manufacturers have also made deals to get one or both of the systems into new cars, and sometimes as standard equipment.
Yeah, Hyundai was the first to announce they'd be making XM standard to all their vehicles by 2007, but I doubt they're going to be the last.
What's interesting to me is we're not seeing a lot of improvement where an even more popular gadget's concerned.
That would be MP3 players?
MP3 players.
That would be MP3 players, no kidding. A lot of promises out there, and a lot of manufacturers are building in iPod ports.
Yeah, and some others are available, but they're not so easy to use. You can control volume and change tracks on your steering wheel, but you can't see any track information on the screen.
It's got to hurt when you've got a good 10,000 tracks in there.
Right.
And seriously, I was hoping we'd see a few more options on the market by now. Would it kill these guys to offer MP3-aware CD players as standard?
Yeah, well, some of them do, but who wants to burn MP3s to a CD for a car trip?
Well, I do it all the time. I mean, integrating MP3 player functions in the steering wheel, that's great, but it's not a cheap option. And the interfaces, as we mentioned, have this habit of stinking. I'm perfectly happy to spend a little time and throw a couple hundred songs on a CD-ROM for a really good road trip. It gives it kind of a theme. And then, what? Say you leave an MP3 disc in the car and somebody breaks in and steals it. So what? Believe me, I'll make more.
If somebody's interested in it, there's a website for it, and that's particularly true when it comes to cars. Did you ever wonder what color the seats are on an Oscar Mayer Wienermobile?
Nope.
Well, there's a virtual tour on the Kraft Foods site, and just for a hint, think ketchup and mustard.
Oh, God. But there are plenty of sites that can help you when you're buying or selling a more traditional model, new or used. A good place to start is cars.com. You can check out Kelley Blue Book values on your used car, search online classifieds for used cars in your area, and learn invoice prices on a newer model.
Yeah, for new car shopping, also take a look at carsdirect.com. Unlike a lot of competitors, it'll usually show you a firm price without your having to send email out to local dealers to get quotes, which, as often happens, can end up being below that invoice price.
Edmunds.com is another site with lots of data and reviews, but it also has surprisingly opinionated user forums where people reveal what it is they love about their cars and what they totally can't stand.
Yeah.
It's worth a look before you join their ranks. Consumer Reports is the granddaddy of independent reviewers, and their website puts several years' worth of detail at your fingertips, lets you sort and compare the information all sorts of ways. But the site can be tricky to navigate, and to get at most of the info, you have to pay $19 a year if you're a subscriber to the magazine, and $26 if you're not.
And now there's also crash test data. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety will tell you what happened to the crash test dummy, complete with grisly photos for car after car. It's made me even more of a believer in side airbags.
And there's a lot more about safety online, too. Your chances of dying in one vehicle versus another, for instance.
The National Highway Safety Administration has another great site. You can see rollover ratings, take a tire safety quiz, see ratings of child safety seats, and look at recalls and complaints for just about any vehicle on the road. Parts of the site are kind of clunky, but there's a level of information there you just won't find anyplace else.
This is great, but here's a safety tip from us. Don't try to access these sites from your cell phone while driving.
Okay, I've said it before.
And I'll bet whatever it is, you say it again.
How'd you guess? The best technology is the kind that other people are responsible for.
Or putting it another way, you gotta love tech that lets you share resources with people you don't even know and leaves the details to somebody else. And that's why I'm a member of a car sharing service.
Now, the idea is that especially in cities, there are more nuisances than benefits to owning your own vehicle. And they're expensive nuisances: parking, insurance, upkeep.
And a lot of times you use the car or one of your cars if you're a multi-vehicle household only for errands and occasional trips. So why have it, except for errands and occasional trips?
Now, car sharing services let a bunch of people timeshare one vehicle. The company owns the cars, takes care of maintenance and parking, and a reservation system. You
drive. The two largest car share outfits out there are FlexCar and Zipcar. FlexCar's got fleets in about half a dozen cities, Zipcar's in about 8, and they're both adding markets at a fairly good clip. The basic idea is the same. You sign up for a membership, they do a DMV check and run your credit, and if you're accepted, they send you a proximity card like this that literally opens doors for you. You can use the phone to reserve Zipcar vehicles, but it's easier just to go online. You log in, you pick your time, how many hours you want to have the car, and which vehicle you want from the fleet. I usually just choose the one closest to me, but these services have special choices too. If I wanted a pickup, I could get it, or a delivery type van, maybe something sporty for a nice day.
And FlexCar is the one you use.
Oh yeah, right now it's the only service we have in Seattle, though if I'd had any sense when I was in DC, I would have signed up with both FlexCar and Zipcar. More cars for me.
And more tech. Zipcar's Prox card reader checks with a central computer to make sure you're the right driver at the right car at the right time. And if you are, you just get in and drive. The keys are in the glove compartment. There's a prepaid gas card in there too, and they have XM satellite radio for that extra dash of tech.
Yeah, and well, FlexCar's a little different from that. Once you're in, you have to punch a number into a keypad, like a pin for an ATM. But again, keys in the glove box, gas cards in the visor, away you go.
Well, both these systems charge by the hour, and Zipcar has a by-the-day plan, which you can check online. And at the end of the month, you get a bill.
Which I guarantee you is less than insurance or parking here in town, let alone maintenance or gas.
Right.
And, I walk out to the parking lot and someone's made a dent in the FlexCar. All I have to do is just note it on the visor. Repair is somebody else's deal.
Wait, even if you did the denting?
Okay, if I did the denting, I should phone the company, but they handle repairs.
What's the lead time on these? Can you say, gee, I'd like to go out for a movie right now and get a car in like 10 minutes?
Oh yeah, sure, if one's available. And once in 6 months have I not been able to get a car within 2 blocks of my house at a moment's notice.
But wait a minute, remember when we were out researching this show, you were falling in love with a Hummer H3.
Yeah, and, I own a Cadillac. I love the thing, but it gets 9 miles to the gallon. Right now it's in storage, and yes, the H3 was wicked fun, but parking it and insuring it in downtown Seattle, some environments are just too harsh. And descending from the heavens, the PR pinata, where we chuck the junk we get from hopeful PR people trying to get us to praise them to you.
But instead, we'd rather stick duct tape over their logos and send that junk.
So now we'll call it gifts.
To viewers with a flair for correspondence, like Ari, a college student from cyberspace.
She writes, I currently have a 4th generation iPod and have been trying to research FM transmitters so I can listen to music in my car. However, I seem to have run into a problem. Seeing as I can't actually test any of the different types out, and believe me, there are a bunch of different kinds, I have no idea which sounds best. If you could please recommend a brand or kind, I would really appreciate it. Oh, Ari.
Sorry, Ari. The good news is you just saved more money for more music downloads.
Over the years, we've both looked at these things, and I at least looked at them with great hope. Radio signals can cross continents and work their way through concrete. Why can't one little transmitter push your tunes from the iPod in your front seat to the radio in your dash?
Well, in some cases, it's a power issue. Transmitters need a power source to pump out that signal. So that kind of rules out the ones that draw a trickle of power from your MP3 player. And as for the battery-powered models, just not enough juice.
To give you an example, one transmitter I tested a couple of weeks ago, a model that just reached the market, could manage about an 8-inch gap if the the radio and the MP3 player were sitting together on a shelf in my house, and if nothing was sitting between them, ugh.
Yeah, and those are much more favorable conditions than you're likely to have in your car.
So, believe me, I sympathize, but no recommendation from here. Honestly, on my last road trip, I ended up buying some El Cheapo speakers and a load of AA batteries and just hooked my player up to that. It was lame. What do you got?
Well, let's see here. For Ari, yes, who for now at least may have to sing along to that FM radio for entertainment, at least she'll be able to keep a record with this mini microphone voice recorder. Hi, Ari.
Hi, Ari.
Someday, all cars will be MP3 player friendly, and those nasty FM transmitters will be a hazy or a staticky memory. Until then, well, you're on your way to your first million-selling download.
So, what do we think about this week's stuff?
You know, I've been a passenger in cars where the folks in the front seat were so busy arguing over whether the GPS was accurate that they ended up on the road longer than if they just opened the map. You know, they're getting really good, but still, people in hilly areas or doing mostly urban driving, they're not going to be pleased. Of the units I saw, I guess I'd save the Garmin and maybe the TomTom because it's portable and that great interface it has.
Yeah, these really are better than ever, but you know, they're just not better enough, so delete them. I mean, you can buy a whole lot of maps for $1,000 and a lot of times they just work better. The databases really need to be a whole lot better. Like there are ones in Japan that actually show you what the buildings in the street are going to look like right on your screen, and that's when I might spring for one of these. So, do I even need to ask about in-vehicle DVD players?
No, delete. Look up and drive already. And for the kids, books, Game Boy, Slug Bug, conversation, staring out the window, 99 bottles of beer on the wall, and listening to your parents talk while they think you're asleep in the back seat. I mean, there's plenty to do when you're a kid in a car, okay? But for the really little ones, I do like that Pixter, but I think I'd like that outside the car too. So that's a save.
Well, if I were a parent, I'll bet I would buy a DVD player that came with headphones so I didn't have to listen to Winnie the Pooh one more time. And I'd probably buy cheap stuff that the kids could break without my feeling extremely sad. So save those. Pixter, nah, delete. And now we're back to car sharing services.
That's easy. Save and save. And if you don't believe me, ask a friend who's a member. People who do this love this. And did I mention that companies pay for your gasoline?
You know, I love the idea of car sharing. Big save.
I'm Angela Gunn.
I'm Steve Manis.
We're two analog people
In a digital world. See you next time. And that
Looking for a new projector or TV for that big screen experience? Make sure it has DLP technology from Texas Instruments for a sharp picture that won't fade over time. Ask for DLP technology at electronics retailers near you.
PC World's Digital Duo is sponsored in part by BenQ, bringing you LCD displays, projectors, keyboards, and other digital office products that make life more productive and enjoyable. BenQ, because enjoyment matters.
Hey, Fred, we need...
Oh, don't tell me. We need a whole new storage solution, need more capacity, better security. Ken wants recommendations on his desk ASAP.
How'd you do that?
I got the same email you did. I already called CDW. I took care of it.
When you need technology, CDW responds with fast answers to your technology questions. You get what you need when you need it. CDW, the right technology right away.
Fred.
Don't tell me.
On the next Secrets of the Dead, destitute female convicts are banished from London to parts beyond the seas. But these resourceful women turned exile into opportunity.
The ships were turned into floating brothels.
They were in a given situation and they made the best of it.
Uncover the true story of modern Australia's founding mothers. Voyage of the Courtesans. Next time on Secrets of the Dead.
Coming soon to KERA. thought my dog was going nuts. It was bizarre. We knew that she was trying to communicate something.
There were search teams combing the area for bodies. There were no dead animals.
Incredible stories of animals surviving disasters have driven scientists around the world to focus their research on one enigmatic question. Can animals predict disaster? Next time on Nature.
Watch an all-new Nature, Sunday nights at 7 on KERA.